I first want to thank you for the invitation to speak to this committee on the UAP topic that has been in the news for the past 6 years and seems to be continuing to gain momentum. My name is David Fravor, and I am a retired commander in the US Navy. In November 2004, I was the commanding officer of a Strike Fighter Squadron 41, the most famous Black Aces. We were attached to Carrier Air Wing 11 and stationed aboard the USS Nimitz CVN-68. We were at the beginning of our workup cycle that would prepare us for combat deployment in the Persian Gulf of operations supporting the ground forces in Iraq. The at-sea period was scheduled to go from early November to late December. During this period, we trained with the other units in a battle group while integrating and honouring our skills that we will rely on during our deployment. We had been at sea for roughly 2 weeks, and I was scheduled to lead a 2v2 air-to-air training exercise. My flight of 2 FA-18Fs was the Blue Air, the good guys, and we were being controlled by the USS Princeton, CG-59. Keep in mind that the FA-18Fs are 2-seat aircrafts with the pilot in the front and the weapon system operator in the back seat. The Red Air was being flown by our Marine FA-18 Squadron, VMFA-232. As we launched off the USS Nimitz, we checked in with our air controller at the USS Princeton. We were told that the training was going to be suspended for real-world tasking. My wingman joined up and we proceeded towards a contact to the west of our combat air patrol point. The combat air patrol point is where we would hold prior to commencing our training runs, roughly 40 miles south from the ship. As we proceeded to the west and the air controller counted down the range, we had nothing on our radar, and we were unaware of what we were going to see when we arrived. The air controller on the ship also had no idea, but had been observing these objects on their Aegis combat system for the previous 2 weeks. They had been descending from above 80,000 feet and coming rapidly down to 20,000 feet, would stay there for hours and then go straight back up. When we arrived at our location at 20,000 feet, the controller called merge pilot, which means that our radar blip was now in the same radar resolution cell as the contact. As we looked around, we noticed some white water off our right side. The weather on the day of the incident was as close to a perfect day as you could ask. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no white caps from the waves, so the white water stood out from the large blue ocean. As all four looked down, we all saw a small white tic-tac shaped object with the longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the white water. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, nor any visible flight control surface like wings. As we started a clockwise turn to observe the object, my WSO and I decided to go down to get closer, and the other aircraft stayed in high cover to observe us both, and the tic-tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitude axis, aligned it with our aircraft and began to climb in a clockwise climbing turn. We continued down for another 270 degrees when we made a nose-low move to head to where the tic-tac would be when we pulled nose onto the object. Our altitude at this point was approximately 15,000 feet, with the tic-tac about 12,000 feet. As we pulled nose onto the object at approximately half a mile, with the aircraft just left our nose, it rapidly accelerated and disappeared right in front of our aircraft. Our wingman, roughly 8,000 feet above us, also lost visual. We immediately turned to investigate the white water, only to find that it was also gone. As we turned towards the cap point, roughly 60 miles east, the air controller let us know that the object had reappeared on the Princeton's Aegis Spy 1 radar at our cap point. This tic-tac object had just travelled 60 miles in a very short period of time, less than a minute. It was far superior in performance to my brand new FA-18 and did not operate with any of the known aerodynamic principles that we expect for objects that fly in our atmosphere. We returned to Nimitz and mentioned what we had witnessed to one of my crews who were getting ready to launch. It was that crew that took the now famous approximately 90-second video that we released by the USG in 2017. What is not seen is the radar tape that showed the jamming of the APG-73 radar in the aircraft, but we do see that the targeting pod video that the object does not emit any infrared plume through a normal propulsion system that we would expect. What is shocking is that the incident was never investigated. None of the crew were ever questioned, tapes were never taken, and after a couple of days it turned into a great story to tell friends. Not until 2009 did Jay Staton contact me to investigate what we had observed. Unbeknownst to all of us, Jay was part of the ATIP, Anomalous Threat Identification Program, led by Lou Elizondo out of the DoD. I refer to the report as the unofficial official report, which is now available on the internet. Years later, I was contacted by Alex Dietrich, the other pilot in my flight, asking if I had ever been contacted about the incident after 2009. I had since retired and my answer was no, but I told her if folks wanted to talk, I was happy to meet with them. Alex stated that she had been invited to the Pentagon multiple times to discuss the event and view other videos of UAPs. I was contacted by Mr. Elizondo shortly after talking with Alex in 2016. We briefly chatted and I was told that he would be in contact. In the weeks that passed, I was made aware that Lou had left the Pentagon in protest to join forces with Tom DeLonge, Chris Mellon, Steve Justice, and others to form to the Stars Academy. It was this organisation that pressed the issue with the leading industry experts and the USG officials, worked with Leslie Keane, Ralph Blumenthal and Helen Cooper to publish an article in NYT in December 2017, admitting the USG was looking at UAPs and removed the stigma of the UFO topic, which led us being here today. Those articles opened a door for the government and the public that cannot be lost. It has led to an interest of our elected officials who are not focused on little green men, but on figuring out what the crafts are, where they are from, the technology they possess, and how do they operate. It has also led to the Whistleblower Protection Act in the recent NDAA, which brings us to today. There are multiple witnesses coming forward that say that they have first-hand knowledge that I'm sure Mr. Grush will or has already discussed. What concerns me is that there are no oversight from our elected officials on anything associated with our government possessing or working on crafts that we believe are not from this world. This issue is not about full public disclosure that could undermine national security, but it is about ensuring that our system of checks and balances works across all work done in our government using taxpayer funds. Relative to government programs, even unacknowledged wave programs have some level of oversight by the appropriate committee members. In the House and Senate, and this work that is said to be occurring from whistleblowers' testimony should not be exempt. In closing, I would like to say that the tic-tac object that we engaged in November 2004 was far superior to anything we had at the time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 plus years. If we in fact have programs that possess this technology, it needs to have oversight from those people that the citizens of this great country elected to office to represent what is best for the United States and is in the best interest for its citizens. I thank you for this time to speak with you today, and God bless America. Here is my UFO story. I do not remember the year, but it was in the late 90s. A little background here. This tomboy is a chopper, transit aircraft and fighter plane nut. I would go tearing outside to watch them. At the time, we had lived underneath the flight area for McCord AFB, so I had plenty of opportunities. One night at about 10 PM, I heard something in the air that was strange sounding, so I went outside to look up. I saw the weirdest thing in the sky that would zigzag, then stop, then zigzag again. I watched it for about 5 minutes, then grabbed my mother to show her. We watched together for about 10 minutes, then it went tearing off. 2 days later, someone wrote a letter to the News Tribune about it. We looked him up in the phone book and called him. He had the exact same story we did, but added that he called McCord and they told him it was a test aircraft. I think that is bullshit. I'm not saying I saw a flying saucer, I'm saying I saw a UFO, unidentified flying object. The lights on that object were kind of V-shaped, so it's definitely not a helicopter. Now, let me tell you about my story of seeing a UFO. My personal story, the owner of this channel. I'm about to tell you my story. So, this was about just over 2 years ago. I wasn't in the best mind frame at the time. I was smoking weed quite regularly on a daily basis. And I was quite well known. I had a couple of Snapchats of clients asking me for products such as haze Skittles or, you know, like dust bits at the bottom of the bag because there's the most THC. So this one contact, he asked me to come and give him a 10 bag. And he was quite a reliable client. He would come quite regularly, texting me on Snapchat, calling me bro and all that. And I said, yeah, of course, no problem. I'll meet you in the regular spot. So anyway, I bagged up this 10 bag, topping it off with a little bit of extra dust. So it weighed about 1.2 grams or something, with a nice, decent sized amount of dust at the bottom. Out of my own personal grinder of THC, because it collects at the bottom. What happened was, I bagged it up and then I went, got my shoes on, got dressed, told him I'd meet him in the regular spot, which is just at the end of the street on a bridge. So anyway, I'm going and I get round the corner, and just as I'm about to see him in the car, at first I just have this intuitive feeling to look up, and God's honest truth, now I'm not telling a word of a lie, I saw this. It was like I don't really know how to describe it. It was like a circle of light, not a halo, but it wasn't emitting any light either. So it was just like a big circle. And I don't know why I decided to look up there, but I think it might have been like an intuitive feeling. I look up there, and it's clear as day, just this circle. And it wasn't scary, it was more like, holy shit. I literally just saw that. I really just saw that. And the first thing that happened was, it disappeared. It disappeared with no sound, with like no extra momentum gained. It just fucking disappeared. Shut off. It's almost like it had a cloaking mechanism. I see that, and it's almost like if you have a near-death experience or something, and you're not exactly scared for your life, but you're aware of what just happened. You know what I mean? So you're calm, but you're more sort of thinking, what the fuck? As I'm going towards the end of the street, I see this, I look up, I see the aircraft, and just as I'm about to exit the street to give my mate, well, my client, the product of a 10 bag, as soon as I see him, I like, he rolls down the window to his car. He's like, yo, what's good, G? I'm saying, you know what I've just saw? I just saw a fucking UFO. I'm not joking, I've just saw an aircraft in the sky, bruv. He looks at me and goes, whoa, you're dead ass serious. I love that shit. I fucking love that shit. And then I'm like, I swear to God, I just saw it. It was like, yo, I love that kind of shit, man. So, yeah, that's my personal experience. And as I'm walking back home, I'm looking up in the sky to see if I could see anything else. But I didn't actually see anything else. It was more of like a, I don't know how to explain it. It was more of like I saw it once. Will it happen again? Lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice. Sometimes it does though, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it does. Like the Empire State Building, it's pretty tall, conducts electricity, you know what I mean? But anyway, that is my personal story. It wasn't freaky, it wasn't scary, it was just genuine and like it's true. I'm not lying to you, I promise you. But I stopped selling weed. I don't do any drugs. I've stopped smoking weed, I don't sell any drugs. So yeah, gonna end the video here. If you liked it, like, subscribe, maybe even share. Post down in your comments any experiences you've had. And also in the link of the comments, there's my personal email. So you can email me your stories if you would like me to read your stories on this channel. So yeah, thank you for listening and stay safe.